Hello everyone, welcome back. This is again Chemistry 104, Chapter 1. This is Part 4, and in Part 4 we're going to talk about what we call dimensional analysis. And dimensional analysis is basically where we're going to use the unit part of the measurement to ensure that we're on the right track. If we end up with the correct units in an answer, then that means that we're going to have the right answer as long as we don't mess up on our calculator. Alright, so problem solving using conversion factors. So conversion factors are basically what we call an equality. That is, we put two things that are equal to each other, and we can either write them like this: 2.2 pounds equals 1 kilogram, or we can write them as a fraction. We can write 2.2 pounds over 1 kilogram, or 1 kilogram over 2.20 pounds. The reason we can do that is since these two things are equal, okay, that's just like saying 2 is equal to 2, okay? So if I have 2 over 2, that equals 1. If I have 1 over 1, that equals 1. If I have 3 divided by 3, that equals 1. So if these are equal and I put 1 over the other, they are equal to 1. So I can use those in a conversion situation where they will allow us to get from one unit to another unit without affecting the numbers. Okay, or affecting the numbers correctly, I should say. So we'll start with whatever we can measure, or I say hold in your hand. We will apply the conversion factor or factors, and then we will get the correct number, and then we'll have the right units. So we talked about measurement before, and we said, you know, these are our equalities or our conversion factors. 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch, 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds, and a liter is 1.06 quarts, or remember I told you my favorite was 3.875 liters per gallon. That's just one that stuck with me over the years. So if a unit appears in the numerator, that is on top, and then we're going to have the denominator have that same term in one of the other terms, and so that's going to cancel it out. Okay, and so it's going to make a lot more sense when I do it instead of talking about it, but I'm going to go through this for you word people. So if I convert 130 pounds into kilograms, all right, I'm going to start with 130 pounds, and then I'm going to have some conversion factor that's going to get me to kilograms, because my question is saying convert 130 pounds to kilograms. So I know what that's going to be, don't I? Because I already said that I like the 2.20 pounds in 1 kilogram, because that's what I've used in medical before. So I can write this, remember, either with pounds on top and kilograms on the bottom, or with kilograms on top and pounds on the bottom. But what my rule was before, if you remember, is if I've got it on the top, because 130 pounds is the same as saying 130 pounds over 1, then I'm going to want pounds on the bottom in the denominator. Okay? And that way pounds will cancel. So since it's originally in the numerator, then the conversion factor is going to have it in the denominator. Because I don't want pounds in my answer, what do I want? Kilograms. So it makes sense, not only am I going to use pounds on the bottom to cancel these out, but I'm also going to have kilograms on top, because that's the answer I want. So once I cancel those out, I have kilograms. And since I have I've got two significant figures, that 0 is not significant, is it? So my answer is going to be in two significant figures, and so when you do that calculation, that's the same thing as saying, so if I write it 130 pounds times 1 kilogram over 2.20 pounds, that's going to equal, and then my pounds have canceled and I'm left with kilograms. So then all I have to do is the math. So I'm going to divide 130 by 2.20 pounds, and to 2 decimal places gives me 59 kilograms. And I have the right units in the answer. That's the important part, and that's what these things do for us. All right, So, in step by step, how to solve a problem with conversion factors. The question is, how many grams of aspirin are there in 325 milligram tablet? All right, so first of all, we figure out, okay, the original quantity was 325 milligrams. I want to have grams when I get done. So identify what you're given and then what you want. Okay. So then you figure out what is the conversion factor that's going to help me. I've got to go between grams and milligrams. So I know 1 gram is equal to 1,000 milligrams. I can go back and I can look that up. All right, and remember, I can write it either way, 1,000 milligrams over 1 gram or 1 gram over 1,000 milligrams. I'm going to choose this one because the one I'm starting with is milligrams. So 325 milligrams times 1 gram over 1,000 milligrams is going to give me 0.325 grams. Now, you might say, well, there's only one significant figure in that number. Right, remember, equalities have what? Unlimited sig figs. Okay, unlimited sig figs. So you only go by the significant figures in your measurements. All right, pretty, right? Okay, so sometimes we're going to have to use more than one conversion factor. For example, I don't know how many quarts are in a pint, or I don't know how many ounces are in something. I can get there more than one way. And so according to the book, you want to arrange those factors so that the denominator in one cancels the numerator in the preceding term. And so the example here is how many liters are in 1 pint. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to have to figure out what is my go-to for my metric to English conversion. And if we're going to use this time 1 liter is the same as 1.06 quarts. Now I could do others, okay, but I'm choosing that one from the conversion factor chart that you have. All right, so that's going to give me quarts, but I'm not starting with quarts in this problem, am I? I'm starting with pints. So if I'm starting with pints, I'm going to have to get pints to what? Quarts. So I also know that there are 2 pints in 1 quart. All right, so 2 pints in 1 quart. So I can also cancel out pints so that I can get closer to the answer. So I set up the problem. I start out with what I can measure or hold in my hand, which is the 1 pint. Then I'm going to first multiply that by pints. Now notice something here. What I usually do is I think about, okay, whatever I've started with here, I don't even think about really what I'm going to do. I go ahead and write pints down there, okay, because I know pints is going to I'm going to have to get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to have to get rid of that because that's not what I want my answer to be in. I want my answer to be in what? Liters. Okay, so I know I've got to get rid of pints. I've already decided that I'm going to use something to get to liters, but look at this. If I go from pints to quarts, what am I going to do? I'm going to automatically write quarts on the bottom because I know I've got to get rid of quarts. And so my conversion factor that has quarts says that there's 1 liter over 1.06 quarts because those are equalities. And so when I do that, I cancel out my quarts. And what am I left with? Liters. And that's what I want in my answer. And so I get 0.471698113 liters according to my calculator. And then when I write it in the correct number of significant figures, how many is it going to have? 2. You're right. Because my measurement, or my thing that I started with that I could hold in my hand, was 2 significant figures. So 0.47 liters is going to be the answer to that problem. If you don't understand this, go back and review it. All right, so let's practice. If Bob's weight is 175 pounds, so 175 pounds, I like to underline stuff because then I remember what I'm doing. What does he weigh in kilograms and in grams? All right, so Bob weighs 175 pounds, so that's what I can measure holding my hand. So I'm going to say 175 pounds. All right, so I know I need to get to kilograms first. So I know what's going to go down here. Pounds, right? Pounds has got to go down there. All right, do I have an equality that'll get me from kilograms to pounds? Now this is where you need to look at your conversion chart. Okay, I've got it in my head and I've already worked these, but you need to look on your conversion chart. And what you'll see is our old buddy 2.2 pounds is equal to 1 what? Kilogram, and that's what I'm looking for. So when I do that, that's going to give me 70.0 kilograms. And it's kilograms because pounds canceled, left me with kilograms. If my units were not kilograms, I set it up wrong. Now I also need it in grams. So 70.0 kilograms times what's going to go on the bottom? Kilograms. Okay, so I need to get to what? Grams. Can I go from grams to kilograms? Yes, I can. How many grams are in a kilogram? 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. And so that's going to give me what? A small, it's a big number, right? So it's going to be either 70,000 grams, or I could write it in scientific notation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7.00, because I've got 3 significant figures in my measurement, times 10 to the 4th grams. All right, it's a good idea to circle your answers when you get done. That way, if you need to go back and look at it, you can. All right, how many liters are in a 50-gallon barrel? What can I start with? I've got 50 gallons, right? 50.0 gallons. That's important because it gives me 3 significant figures, so that's what my answer can have in it. Now, if I use the gallon conversion, I could just say 3.875 gallons in 1 liter. I mean 3.875 liters in 1 gallon. Don't get them backwards. That'll hurt you. Or I can use the quart thing, right? So either way, gallons needs to go down here. All right. So if I'm going to use the quart one from your conversion factors, then I'm going to have to get gallons to quarts first. So I know that in 1 gallon there are 4 quarts, and there are 1.06 liters in 1 quart. Quarts got to go on the bottom, right? Because we got rid of gallons. Got to get rid of quarts. So 1.06 liters in 1 quart, right? I think so. You know me, I did it with gallons, so I'm just making this up as I go. All right, either way, we should get the same answer if we did it this way, or if we said 50 gallons times, gallons still on the bottom, 3.875 liters in 1 gallon. You should get 9 liters. Okay? Check that, because I might have been wrong on that, because those numbers are kind of close together. Like I say, I like that 3.875. It just stays with me. All right, this is a clinical conversion. All right, how many milliliters of children's Motrin? All right, and there's 100 milligrams of ibuprofen per 5 milliliters. Okay, so that's good information. What are we going to be looking for? How many milliliters? Okay, it gives me how many milligrams are in 5 milliliters, and the dosage needs to be 0.180 grams. This is a very common thing. You've got a certain number of milligrams and a certain number of milliliters, and it's a liquid, so you got to give it to them in milliliters. So The dose is what you can measure holding your hand this time, okay? So we're given 0.180 grams of the Motrin. That's what we want, okay? We have 100 milligrams of Motrin in, so that means over 5 milliliters. Okay, 100 milligrams of Motrin over 5 milliliters per 5 milliliters. Okay, you'll see it on the bottle like 100 milligrams per 5 milliliters. Okay, so I'm just writing it like a fraction. And then what we're looking for is milliliters of Motrin. Okay, and this 5 milliliters is the whole solution. Alright, so what we can start with is our 0.180 grams of Motrin. Alright, so we've got 0.18 grams of Motrin. Now, I know I got to get rid of grams of Motrin, right? Alright, do I have anything over here that's got grams? No, I've got milligrams. What does that tell me? I've got to get grams to what? Milligrams. So 1 gram is the same as how many milligrams? 1,000. Milli is 1,000, right? So there's 1,000 of the little ones to make the one big one. So what that gets me is that gets rid of grams and it gets me to milligrams. All right, milligrams is good. All right, because now what do I have? I have something over here, the factor that has milligrams in it. I know, what am I going to write on the bottom? Milligrams, okay, which means I'm going to have to turn this upside down because it can go either way. It can be 100 milligrams over 5 milliliters or 5 milliliters over 100 milligrams because it's a conversion. So the 100 milligrams goes with the bottom and then the 5 milliliters goes on the top because then the milligrams cancel and that's going to leave me with milliliters of Motrin. And when you put all that in, we're going to get what? 9, I think I put the wrong answer on that other one. 9 milliliters. And I'm going to have 3 significant figures. That 0 is significant because it's after a decimal. So 9 milliliters. Yes? Alright, let me go back up here because I put the wrong answer on this. It wasn't supposed to be 9 liters. I was looking at the wrong problem. It should have been 194 liters. So if you were panicking, hopefully you kept watching the video and you went back and looked. Sorry about that. Alright, so that's how you do a dosage conversion when you have milligrams per milliliter. Alright, so that's it for conversions, and so this is a very important concept. Make sure you know how to do this because a lot of the things that we're going to do from now on are going to be based on this.